Hey, what's up, guys? I have another great YouTube video here for you guys. It's called Hands Off Self-Management. So as you guys probably know from my other videos, I self-manage my properties. And the way I'm able to do this without it causing me to have to spend a lot of my time managing the properties is I use something called tenant empowerment. So tenant empowerment is basically the idea of giving the tenants certain responsibilities and empowering them to be able to help manage your property. And a couple examples of this is if the tenant is worried there's a security issue at the house, you can have the tenant go out and buy a security camera and reimburse them for it. If there is a tenant who's complaining about another tenant, what you do is you have that tenant who complained talk one-on-one with the other tenant they have a complaint about. And the reason for this is I had a tenant who complained about another tenant, and I stepped in. I basically became the middleman, and I was talking back and forth between the two tenants. And the other tenant who was complained about, he felt that the other guy was talking behind his back because he was going to me, the landlord. And so he was very upset about that, and the situation escalated and got worse. Versus if I were to just have the tenant who complained talk face to face, they're adults, right? So they need to talk face to face with the other tenant and see if they can resolve the issue and basically come up with like an action plan that they will take to make sure the issue doesn't come up in the future. And after I do that, pretty much every single time the issue is resolved by just empowering the tenant to take charge, to take responsibilities. They're able to drastically decrease the amount of time I have to spend dealing with tenant issues or management issues. Another thing I do is I have one tenant pay the utility bills. So the utility bills will be under that tenant's name, and then he will charge the other tenants accordingly. And that way I cut back a lot on my paperwork and my bookkeeping that I have to do to keep track of utilities. And then another great thing you can do is put the internet under the tenant name as well, because when the internet goes down, a lot of times I used to get like a call complaining the internet's down. Can you please call Comcast? So instead of acting as the middleman and calling up Comcast and them telling me to reset the router and then check if it's working, and I have to call the tenant and say, hey, is it working now? Instead of being the middleman, basically I put the tenant's name under the basically the account, and then they can call the tenant directly, or the tenant could call the internet provider directly and resolve the issue. So just by doing those types of things, it saves me a whole lot of times and a whole lot of headaches. Another great example is one time I had a tenant worried about a gas leak. And so what I did, instead of going, calling myself, I just had him call PG&E right away and say, I'm worried about a gas leak, and they will probably send a guy right over right away. Call them right away, and then they sent a guy over within 1 hour, and the guy was able to check out the place. So just by assigning responsibilities, of course there are some big issues that you do have to deal with, like if there's a major repair, if there's a water leak, and then or a toilet breaks down or something like that. That's something you would help manage, but there are a lot of responsibilities that the tenants could actually take charge of, and by doing that, they could definitely reduce your workload as a landlord. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you found it helpful, please like and subscribe. Smash that like button, and you guys have a good day.